Well, the sign on my computer says we're going live, so here we go. Greetings, world, and greetings, Seven Spot. This is the first of the brand new year, 2025, and it's going to be fabulous as we all shiver in the freezing cold from our respective parts of the planet. I'm going to introduce our guests of the show today. I'm going to say hi to Dave. Dave, can you say hi?
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Oh,
Dave.
no, the correction is hi. Let's
Oh,
try that again.
hi.
Take two. Hi. There we go. John, can you say hi?
Hi.
Paul, hi. Turns his mic off. Craig, say hi.
Hi.
There you go. And Chris.
Hi.
Anyway, there
I
we
don't
go.
know I don't know if you're aware of a TV program that used to be for kids in the 70s in the UK called How. And
Yes.
that's how they used to sign on.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Mhm.
Cool. Well, I'm just so happy and chuffed today, guys, because this is completely unscheduled, unplanned, and as I said previously, I was a day late and $1 short in my preparation. Craig sent me how many files? I don't know, 5 files that I was to organize and get ready for a slideshow. And of course, I tried to download them today instead of yesterday, and of course, they didn't open. So he had to send a new Dropbox, and of course, I panicked. I was panicked all the way, and then we got some late submissions because part of our show today is going to be we're going off topic and downstream as usual, but we wanted to talk about something to tow our kit cars and our cars with, because I don't know, John and I have been into this conversation about buses.
Yeah.
I know he's got onto a tangent talking about propane conversions, and I'm totally into electric conversions using Bollard fuel cells, which is just an amazing technology. But enough of that. What we wanted to do, and I'm just going to open up the slideshow, if I may, guys, just so we can get started on this. And where is the slideshow? I got to go down here, or no, I have to go up here, and I'm going to add this to the stage, guys. And I better back that up. Have you seen my magic bus? Well, here's my magic bus parked next to my 7, and it is a beater van that I've had, 5-7 years. I had a very small construction company at one particular point, and I used to use it for transporting cement and parts and all kinds of junk. But it's been basically sitting on the side of our driveway for about 3 years, 4 years, and it basically is doing nothing. And I thought, what should I do? I would love to camperize it so I can tow this baby. And so there's my baby next to this. It happens to be a 2005 E350, which means it's super heavyweight for a van, and it's got the long bed too.
You got the long wheelbase, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's a monster. It's relatively rust free. Only has skin cancer right about there
I was
and
going to say,
there.
looking at it, looking at the size of it compared to your 7 as well. Yeah, that's definitely a long wheelbase.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But to start off the conversation, I'm going to bring Chris Hollier in because he suggested something like this. What have we got there, Chris? Tell us all about that.
Right. With a couple of friends of mine many years ago, we decided to have a laugh when we were doing the kit car shows. We needed a camper which would sleep about 10 people. And
What a great idea.
We came across this as a bus museum in Sheffield. We paid 1,500 quid for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like mine.
It's 25 years ago, but great idea. We bought it. We got it running in the bus museum. And as we were driving it home, we realised because it was being geared to work on the Isle of Man, its maximum speed was 36 miles an hour. Should have worked that one out first, really, shouldn't we? But anyway, after many, many hours, we managed to drive it to Stoney. It took us nearly 8 hours to drive from Norfolk across to Stoney. with a huge traffic jam behind us. But everybody came and saw us. It was a great advertising thing for the mosquitoes, and we all slept in it. We had a kitchen in the
I bet it was really comfortable. You got a lot of room as well, haven't you?
And what did you do to that? Did you just use it for transportation, or did you camperize it? What did you do?
Yeah, no, the whole inside was stripped out. At the where you can see on the side it says all new and unimproved, the square sign just behind the driver's compartment, we made a bathroom in that area. That's why there's two windows blanked off.
Okay. Yeah.
We made a kitchen right across the very back of the bus. There was two bunks above the rear wheel arches with pull round curtains, and there was another 8 bunks upstairs. So yeah, really comfortable. We could get a lot of people in it and had some good laughs in it. But by God, it was slow. Just slow.
I mean, could you change the gearing on it in any way, or just too much expense?
It's not just expense; it's the size and the weight. I mean, these things they weigh 8 ton.
It's an 8 ton. Wow, 8 ton.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, you need a big old jack just to get a bloody wheel off. You know, it's a big undertaking. But we used it as it was for a while. And in the end, it had a pre-select gearbox on it, and we started having a few problems with the gearbox. We managed to fix those, but then the fun had gone out of it. So we sold it to a guy who lives right up on the Scottish borders. Didn't know who he was, but he turned up on his Suzuki motorbike on about 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, asked if he could borrow a scaffold plank, wheeled the Suzuki motorbike into the back of the bus, and set off and drove home in one go without stopping.
Wow. And how long do you think it might have taken him to get home?
He left us by about 5 o'clock. He phoned me midday the following day saying he just got home and he'd driven all the way. So he just kept on going.
Yeah.
Hell of a thing.
Oh, there you go. And guys, has anybody else had any camperizing experience? Have you camperized anything? Let's start with Paul. What's your history like on campers and RVing and buses?
Who's just bought another van? Someone's just bought another van.
We'll get to that, John. We'll get to that.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to be the show host this time, okay? Paul, what's your experience?
Well, I've just bought an XAA van, Volkswagen T4, and I've just finished converting that.
Oh, okay.
So that's done now. So I've had a little getaway in it.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you convert one, you always think, yeah, it looks all right when you've done it.
Yeah.
But there's certain things you think if I did it again, I'd change it. I wouldn't do it that way. And that's the way that is at the moment.
Yeah, that's always the way it is. You always come up with new ideas after you've done it. I've renovated a home or two, and I can say quite comfortably that, after the fact, you always come up with that. I think I would have worked out a little bit better if I've done this. Yeah. But it's,
in hindsight, in hindsight, I should have bought a bigger van.
And that's kind of where I'm at, because as nice as my van is, the E350, it doesn't have the headroom. And I'm thinking what I would prefer to do is get a small schoolie, a school bus. And it'll be about the right size. I can get it with a nice big diesel engine. And and it'll give me enough space that I can still tow things around, or if I need to get around in a city and find a parking spot. I mean, Chris, that must have been horrendous to park.
Oh yeah, you don't take it to Tesco's. No. We always had a mosquito with us, so we had the little car as well, so we could just dive up the shops in that.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, if you're driving around it anyway, you can always just pick people up and charge them some money.
On our very first journey home, we were coming down, I think it was the A1 up from up north somewhere, and we got waved down by a little old lady at a bus stop. Because we're doing 35 miles an hour, she thought we were slowing down anyway. And as we drove past, she was furious, shaking her fist. Wait, what about me?
Oh, there you go. Well, moving right along, I'm going to ask about this slide. Now, this also happens to be one of Chris's. So can you tell us what's going on with that?
Oh, nice.
Well, if you were to take the people off of it, it looks like a model. It just looks like a scale model that somebody's built.
I was going to say it does, yeah, even with the people on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
It looks like a Photoshop. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, but it is actually real, and the people are actually full size, and the bus is about 5/8 scale.
No kidding.
A guy built 3 of them back in the early 1980s. They were called Lion Omnibus, and they're a copy of the old 1908, 1909 London B-type bus.
Yeah.
But rather than building a full-size one, he thought we'd make it a bit smaller, and he put a mini engine and gearbox in the front.
Wow.
So-
Wow.
And that dragged it along. Okay, I mean the gear ratios weren't great, but I've driven a long way in one of these. I was saying to Jim earlier, I had about 9 unsupervised kids upstairs, and I drove from my house near Kings Lynn over to Sea Pauling, which is about 50 miles, with all these kids upstairs running around, waving at all the truck drivers coming the other way, going, "Hey, come on, sound your horn!"
Yeah.
I should still be in prison now.
Yeah. Now, I think you mentioned that you could just barely fit into drive, and that must have. I mean, you're 6'2", so you must have had your knees up around the steering wheel somehow.
It felt like sitting on the toilet for about 2 hours with your knees either side of a dennet plate. It was. But as far as Paul, if you wanted a weird mini base something, there you go. Find one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mini base.
Yeah, classic mini. The rear axle was off of an old van, but all the front subframe, engine, gearbox, steering, everything was all classic mini.
I've never seen one. I've never seen
Now,
one real.
Paul,
Well, I don't know whether they still exist.
This
Are they?
this is
still around?
This is great. This is wonderful for mini kits. You better get some of your guys onto that.
I know, yeah.
Are you familiar with this?
I've seen them before, yeah.
Yeah.
There was
He's got me watching, that's why.
There weren't many of them.
No. They did do a smaller one as well. There was one at Gaydon Car Museum.
Yeah,
a couple of
was that
years
the
back.
yellow Weetabix one?
I think it was, yeah. They had a couple there at one point.
Yeah, I think the guy who built this one, I think he built the Weetabix one as well, and it's just slightly different, based on a slightly different model, but the same size, same running gear.
Yeah. They did a lot of land. They did a lot of land trains, didn't they? At Bournemouth in Wales.
Yeah.
Their land train used to be mini based. It actually now lives on Shell Island.
Oh right.
Because Shell Island's all up and down, the mini engine couldn't cope with it, so they just parked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you haven't bought it yet, Paul?
No. Working on it. It's got a 1275 engine in it.
Yeah.
But they got the couch. They got the couches there as well for it. So they planned on pulling people around the island, the kids and that, but it never worked out.
Use the NEC and take one between all the holes.
Yeah.
And on your
Instead of going the Beatles on it like they did a couple of years back, we could form our own group and be called the Ants. And we can sing on the back.
All we need Adam, and we're sorted, aren't we? Yeah.
Oh, we had Adam with us March.
Right.
No, November, weren't he? We had Adam Ant with us.
Yeah. I was going to say, in cold weather, you could call yourself the Winkle Pickers.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Now, on your RV or your RV that you just made, Paul, you said it was a bit tight, I guess. Was it sort of like a Westphalian conversion, or was it just a standard van?
You can put the pop tops on, can't you? But I think they're quite expensive.
You can, but they rattle about too much, and they're not very watertight. To be fair with you, they rot out really quickly.
Oh, is that right?
That's why I stopped from. Well, I was going to go down that route because there is a guy local to me, and he'd sorted me a good price out for one. To be fair.
Yeah, I drove one around. I drove one
just
around in Europe about 40 years ago, and it drove about as quickly as Chris's original bus. And
yeah.
but I loved it. It was fabulous.
Yeah, I want to put I'll put a rock and roll bed in and a kitchen all down the one side, like, and cupboards. In hindsight now, I wish that I put a U-shaped bed in it.
Oh
and
yeah,
just
yeah,
the kitchen part down the front.
sure.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all solar powered up and leisure batteried and 240 volted up as well. So
Cool. And here we have another slide of this one. It's a very lovely Christmas shot at that. Look at that.
It is.
Yeah, the guy on the top deck in the Santa outfit is about 5'6".
No,
scale.
really?
For scale, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now moving along to Craig. Craig, what have you got? This is a picture of you hanging out. Is that?
Yeah.
Do you happen to own that, or what's going on?
Yeah, it's I'm an odd one really amongst the bunch. It's when I say kick out.
You can say that again.
It's like
hey John, he ain't no fool.
And it's this baby.
Yeah.
Eva, that's the one I'm thinking of. You've only just bought that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had it about 3.5 months now, so I'm still working on it.
Because you had that police car, didn't you? You
Yes,
sold that and then bought your van, yeah?
Yeah, the guy who basically bought the police car from me was so desperate for it. That was up for about £13,000, and mine was up for about 9. He just did a straight swap.
Yeah, that was like yours. Yeah, your car was like that.
Nice.
On the back there, yeah.
Nice deal.
But yeah, it's basically it is a mixed match. It's a Dodge Ram V250, 1992. But one of the previous owners didn't like the fuel mileage on it, with it being a 5.7 V8.
Wow.
It did about 200 miles to the tank, which is about £120 in petrol prices. So basically, the guy actually replaced it with a GMC 6.5 V8 diesel, and it's about £100, but it does about 500 miles.
Wow. And it's probably got more torque as well. You've got a lot of room in there as well, haven't you? Left-hand drive, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that the V8 that come out of the Hummer, the 6.5 V8?
I believe so. It's the General Motors engine what is fitted to it. It had only done about 40,000 miles before it got fit to my car, and it's done about a further 50,000 miles since.
Excuse me for throwing this in there, Paul, or Craig,
Yes.
and Paul, and John, and Dave, and Chris. That thing looks like a shaggin' wagon.
Not yet, because
you've got plans.
No, it's just basically one thing I find is when I'm traveling up and down the country to go to car shows, staying in hotels is cost me an absolute fortune. But the previous guy done a lot of conversions on it to allow me to start using it. So it's got an external power source I can plug in like a normal campsite without having to use the actual vehicle's power itself. It's got inverters on there. With it being so big, it's got to have two batteries, two lorry batteries in it. But I'm just sorting out all the electrics and tidying it all up because, as I say, one of the previous guys was splicing wires left, right, and centre. So I'm trying to delete them and refit proper wiring.
Yeah.
What size battery? And should be gone for? I know my son went for leisure batteries. What size batteries have you got?
Well, it's not leisure batteries. I couldn't tell off the top of my head right now, but they're absolutely bloody huge.
Yeah.
They weigh an absolute ton. Because one is actually fitted underneath the driver's seat, and it's got to be mounted from underneath the car itself.
Okay, yeah.
In access, you've got to get it on a ramp, really up in the air to get to it, and then the second one is in the engine bit.
Yeah,
But no, it's comfortable. It's like all the seats like a massive sofa. Paul's seen it in person now at the NEC because it actually transported our whole stand So it's quite good that we're able to transport it all in one go.
It did take up 2 spaces on the car park, though, Craig.
Yeah, it was just so big. It's when we went into the outside car park, I had to park right at the bottom where the bush is so I can go straight out, because if anyone parked alongside me, I couldn't get out for hours.
Yeah.
But it sounds a monster. You've only just heard it in idle. But yeah, it's a proper big monster when it goes.
And tell him your electrical problem, Craig, and how long you've been driving around with the brake light on a switch.
You
No. We should make this live. Okay. Basically, we discovered. I drove it all the way from Taunton, absolutely fine. But they discovered when someone followed me home that my brake light's not working. Found out that the brake switch behind the brake pedal had gone, but it's got about 6 different sensors what lead to that one switch. But luckily, it still allows me to stick it in reverse, change gears, and stuff like that. Because if that brake goes, it just goes into lock mode. So I couldn't find the original wire line to get to the brakes. So I've created 3 new brake lights, a new brake line. But I'm waiting for a part to arrive now so I can connect it to the main, give it its own proper power source. But currently it's connected to a cigarette lighter with a button on it. So when I braked, it was a button on, button off.
It is really funny how some vans and trucks and everything else change their wiring as they've been passed on from one owner to the other. I know with mine, there's some unusual wiring as well.
Yeah.
I didn't have the art to tell him, to be fair with you, but if it would have been me, I would have been driving around with my lights on and switching my fog lights on. Less hassle.
It doesn't have fog lights. Never fitted with it. It doesn't even have.
That's why then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It turns out in the early 90s to have fog light and reverse light was an optional extra.
Gonna have a lot of fun. You could attach it to the horn switch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thinking all the time, Dave. Thinking all the time.
I would leave the switch on. I would as well. To them other ones you put on, Craig. I'll tell you why. If somebody comes right up your backside and then trying to push you, just turn your switch on. Watch it go for the brake.
Yeah.
Well, I've still got to sort the electrics out. I'm going to fit a reverse light to it, a reverse camera, just because it's just too many blind spots.
Yeah.
I bet you've got zero view out the back. Have you got a window in the back door? I didn't notice.
Yeah, no, they're blacked out windows. I can still see through them from the inside. But outside you can't see them.
Yeah.
There's windows in the back, John, but he's long-sighted, so he can't see. It's huge.
Well, that's what I stand by the shag and wagon idea.
Yeah.
That's why it's long-sighted.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say now, I went to a quick little New Year meet this afternoon. Only about 7-8 cars, but with it being a bit damp. Yes, I can actually do wheel spins in it, and it makes a very good noise making it too.
Oh, there you go.
Is it front wheel drive or rear wheel drive?
Yeah, rear wheel drive.
Rear wheel drive. Okay.
Well, that's cool.
Nice bit of fun. And it's like I say, it's just an ongoing project right now. But I hope
I think.
Yeah, I hope to be able to open up to take young kids with disabilities to proms. No cash exchange. I'll be just looking for donations for charities.
Yeah, you do a lot for charity as well, with Sporting Bears and things like that. So that'd be a great idea. And I see a lot of these vans that have the awnings on the side that you kind of like zip them or attach them to the side of the van. And they can have like a huge awning that if you're at a racetrack or whatever, you can actually get your race car underneath it, and at least if it's raining or whatever.
That's not even new, John. And when that Westphalian that I rented 40 years ago in Amsterdam, traveled all over Europe, it had one of those way back then. I mean, it even had a fly or an insect screen that you could put in there. It was great. I love that thing. Yeah. The only thing was it had such a crummy little propane refrigerator, and it would only hold about 6 bottles of beer at a time.
I'd have to fit 2 fridges then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that goes into we can now have the conversation about propane conversions, John. And I will say that propane refrigerators totally suck.
Yeah. My son, I don't know where he got it from, because I've never done anything like that. I've hired a couple of camper vans, and there was one. It was like a big, massive, I think it was a 6-berth or whatever, with a sleeper over the top of the cabin. And we're driving around wherever we were. I think it was in Cornwall. And me ex was at a motor racing thing. So I said, I'll take you to an activity centre, put it in the sat nav, off we went. And I started driving down this track. It's the first time I've ever driven anything that big. And you don't need a special license. You've got a car license. So I started driving down this road, and it started getting narrower and narrower. And I was thinking, hang on a minute. I thought, but the sat nav said, no, keep going. Yeah, you're right. So I kept going, and it just ended up in a farmer's track. So I had to reverse this damn thing. There was no reversing camera, no nothing. And there was no view out the back that you'd got an enclosed car. I had to try and reverse this goddamn thing, the first time I've ever driven it, back up this track to get back onto the main road. Oh, dear. So that was it was interesting. Let's put it that way. I didn't damage it, though. Didn't damage it.
With Felix's van, now you said, like, he's lived in that thing for a short period of time when he was, traveling about.
He was at university, and we'd got a couple of motorbikes, and one of them was his. And he said, I want to build a camper van. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I'll do it all myself. So we sold his. We sold the Honda CR250. We got it was about $2,500 for that. I said, well, there you go. That'll get you going. So he bought an old Ford Iveco. It was an ex. It used to belong to a company who used to do garden machinery and shipping stuff around. So it was a bit beaten up on the inside. But when I saw it, I said, look, Fix, don't worry about the inside, because you're going to be replacing that anyway. The outside was okay. It just needed a little bit of tarting up. But yeah, he's done it all himself. He's done all the wiring himself. He's got solar electric panels on the top now. Mm-hmm. He's got a little fan extractor thing. He sourced it all himself. That when it's open, if it starts raining, it'll sense that it's raining and automatically close it for him. So he doesn't have to worry about that. He's got kind of mood lighting in it. So all that kind of stuff.
I would never rely on a sensor to tell me that it's raining. I
just normally put my hand out the window or have a look. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's done a great job at it.
I'll just look on Facebook to see if it's raining.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I have a more expensive version, a very expensive sensor. It's called the wife.
Yeah.
Apart from giving the wrong directions and tell me that I'm wrong, and it's like, then she tells me it's raining, and I go, really? Because the windscreen wipers are going. It's cold. I know, because I'm freezing my ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know when we went to Santa Pod for the weekend, and he has got a double bed now. I thought none of us are sleeping with it, because I know what he's like. I'll tell you about it. Remind me about the bed in a minute. So anyway, he was in his camper van overnight, and my other son and I, Jasper and I, were in just a couple of single man tents, and I was absolutely freezing. And I got up the following morning. I hadn't really slept, and Felix just opened his van door. It was so warm in there, and I said, "Weren't you cold last night, Felix?" He said, "No." He said, "But I did struggle because I had to reach over 6 inches to turn up my diesel heater."
Well,
again, the diesel heater, he fitted it all himself. It's plumbed into the main main tank lines as well, so it's not a separate tank for the diesel. He'd done it. He'd done such a lot of research. He's running 2 big, massive leisure batteries. He reckons he's got all the gizmos on the wall that tells it what it's doing, what it's charging, what it's depleting. He didn't go for the propane fridge either. He said the same thing, absolutely rubbish. He bought a really compact one, because the ones the ones for camper vans or designed for camper, so expensive. So we just bought a really compact one, and then put a converter.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, an
you know what I mean?
Yeah, inverter. Yeah,
and inverter. Yeah, and I think he paid like, I don't know, it's about 50 quid for this thing. Where if you look at one specifically for a camper van, they're like 300-400 quid, and he hadn't got the money to do that. But he was telling me that he's got two big massive leisure batteries actually in the back where the wheel arches are. He's fitted seats, and that's where they are. And he was telling me that he'd been looking at it. He's got enough to live off those, within reason, off those two leisure batteries for like 2 weeks, and that is without any recharging or any solar input whatsoever. But yeah, he was at Warwick University. First year he was in student accommodation, and then the second year he was in a house. The third year he decided he's going to live in his camper van. And he did tell me some funny stories as well, because it is quite a big, it's an Iveco, Ford Iveco long wheelbase. You can't just park it anywhere. So what he used to do in the evenings was just go and park it up in laybys. And he sent me some. Well, he didn't send me a lot of pictures, but he sent me some pictures. There was a lay-by that he parked up in one night, and he was getting rid of it. And all of a sudden, all these other kind of like cars and vans started turning up. And it was clearly a dog in sight.
But it's handy to know that, I mean, the reason my interest in having this van, of course, is camping, number one, but just going to events. And you mentioned, Chris, with yours, you're selling your own car, the Mosquito, and you used to tow yours to different events. And I presume that, I mean, you had mentioned, Craig, that you had gone to the NEC with this, and I presume it was kind of the same idea. Are you planning to use yours, Paul, for the same sort of thing, to go to events? Oh yeah, Paul, you have to turn your head. You have to take that microphone and turn it towards your mouth. Ah, there we go. No.
We lost sound with you, Paul.
Yeah.
Come back to Paul.
Yeah, we'll get back to you, Paul. Just can't hear you at the moment. Oh yeah.
Can I throw a little bit in while he's sorting his mic out? It's just the cost of going to events. You're looking at a minimum of £100 a night now per person. You're taking a team of 2 or 3 people to go and support a show. All of a sudden, for a weekend show, you've probably got getting on £1,000 worth of accommodation bills by the time you bought their food and everything else. And it makes selling anything budget ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
And that's what we found out about. This is what we found with Felix's camper van, that it was just so easy. You just roll up. I mean, we parked.
I think you're in there, Paul.
Parked up on the grass by the side of the main pit area, and it was done. We were set up. We were ready to go. We got beers in the fridge. We got food in the fridge. Whereas if you're mucking around with tents and stuff, and we had 2 separate little 2-man tents, but mucking around with that, if you haven't got the weather, putting up a tent up in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And sleeping in it for 2 or 3 days whilst it's raining is no fun.
Well, you can't because of the sound. It's just hammering down, isn't it? Yeah.
Paul, I can assure you that your microphone is working. Don't worry. Say hi.
Hello.
So you're going to be using your van to take it to NEC events and that sort of stuff as well, are you not?
Well, yeah. It's like Chris says. You go to the NEC for the 3 nights at the NEC. The cheapest hotel you'll find costs you about £340.
Yeah,
just for 3 nights.
Yeah.
And that's like you can get a holiday abroad for that.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's an expensive. Shows them expensive now.
Yeah, and is your van capable of doing some towing, or how do you plan to use it? I mean, obviously you have to tow Tichy there somehow. So how does that work?
Yeah. It's got a tow bar on it. It's a 2.5 turbo diesel.
Oh yeah. So. Now this is the question though. How do you tow it? Do you have an A-frame or do you have a trailer?
I have a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The laws in the UK. I mean, I've tried to ask a few questions, but I mean, apparently with an A-frame, they're not. Well, if any of the wheels are touching the ground, if you're towing a car, it needs insurance and road tax and God knows what. But A-frames, from what I've read, I don't know how true, they recommend that it's only for use in emergency, not for permanent towing. I don't know what anybody else thinks about it.
I can answer a part of that question because I was talking to a guy at Newark that was running the trailer centre over there, and he was saying, if the vehicle is under 750 kilos that you're towing, then you can, bit of a grey area, but you can tow it with an unbraked A-frame. If you're over 750 kilos, you can legally tow it with a braked A-frame. Because all these Fiat 500s you see behind camper vans, they're doing it absolutely squeaky clean.
Yeah, right.
And
I didn't know you could get an A-frame that was braked. And we've got a 4-wheeler. To an axle trailer, Brian James, and that is braked. So yeah,
you can get.
On the trailer, you've got the extra weight of the trailer and the weight of the car on it that you're hauling down the road. Whereas I put my little NG TCV8 behind my VW Chiron. The TCV8 weighs 730 kilos, so I'm just squeaking under the legal limit, and you don't even know it's there. And yet, if I put it on the trailer and put it behind the car, you know you're working hard all the time, and the fuel economy goes right down.
Well, and you're planning to do some hill climbing with your Tiger Avon. Are you going to use it the same way?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put the same mount so I can actually use exactly the same A-frame on the front of the Tiger, because it's just such a convenient way of moving cars around. The only downside is you can't reverse with an A-frame. You can only, unless you're going an absolute dead straight line, but you can still get caught out. But of course, with a trailer,
of course you can't. Easily. Yeah, you can't because you got the car wheels on the back. Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, I never thought about that, but you're right.
You're relying on the caster angle of the front suspension to make the car you're towing follow you correctly. And caster angle works when you're going forwards. And the moment you go back, reverse, and you get a little twitch, and then suddenly it will go on to full lock. So it's definitely forwards only with an A-frame. And I must admit, I've done, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles now with an A-frame. And as long as you're aware of it and you don't drive yourself up a blind alley, it's good as.
No problem.
Even if you do get somewhere you need to, you can just literally unhitch it from the back of the car, stand the A-frame upright. It's still a car. It will still push around, drive around wherever you want, and then just hook it back up.
Exactly right. Yeah.
They do A-frames that are braked.
Yes.
And what it is, it's a cable which runs through. It attaches at the front.
Yeah.
But in front of the grill, and it actually pulls. It's actually connected to your brake pedal, and it actually pulls your brake on.
I was going to say that's attached to the car brake pedal as well, because with an A-frame, you've got to have brake lights on the back as well. So there must be something a bit like a towing board.
Well, there is a little different for Craig though, because he has to toggle a switch.
Yeah. Much easier than lighting boards.
The whole trailer.
They do Bluetooth towing lights nowadays.
They do. So you've got to set it work.
You plug an adapter into the back of your car where the tow socket would normally go. Then you have two magnetic lights you stick on the back of the car, turn them on, and you've got Bluetooth towing lights. No cables, nothing to fall down. And they're about 25 quid. They're wonderful.
I've not heard of those either. That's a great idea, though. Rather than all these leads hanging around and God knows what, and and then you've got to test everything, and the circuit don't work, and
there's only one specific small problem for kit cars, is you've got magnetic lights and a plastic body.
The car,
So they don't fit.
That's right.
So I had to make two little extra plates that trap behind the number plate and stick out. So I put two little. It was an easy fix, but when you first get them out the box, you think this is great. It's going to change everything.
And then it falls off the plastic.
Where's my lights? But you can reverse. You know how you got a trailer socket on the back of your vehicle? If you power that up, it will actually put your lights on your car anyway, because that's what them towing hitches do. There's normally an hidden socket under the front, and basically it's the same as what's on the back of a tow bar, and it pushes it back up. Put your lights on and that.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
another.
So do you guys have how many pins on the towing circuit?
We're
the
normally
UK?
It depends.
Okay,
the
you're on
old-fashioned,
7. All right.
Yeah, and on the
But
newer
there's a
ones,
European
yeah, which is
11,
13.
isn't it?
It's 11 or
13,
13.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because ours, there's an old style that's 4-pin, and then there's the more modern one here that's 7-pin. I think the 7-pin one is for controlling, like trailer brakes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, which, but I don't know if you're already on 7-pin, so then I guess all of yours are
And then
for brake controllers.
the extra pin that we had would be used for a rear fog light.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's why we need more than saying a 4-pin.
And the bigger pins, if you towed a caravan back a few years back, you'd have to have 2 towing sockets to charge your batteries up in your ossets, and one thing to keep your fridge going or whatever. With them Euro sockets with the more pins in, it's all just in one plug.
Right. Yeah.
Way to go. Well, guys, why don't we move on to the next segment, which is this is just us talking, and Dave is frantically messaging me. Should I put this into solo view for everybody who wants to speak? But this is everybody's opportunity to speak, and Dave's opportunity to operate the controls. This is a brand new year, 2025. What plans, whether they're kit car or whether they're car or whether show related, because show season is around the corner, is it not, Paul and Craig? What are your plans? Dave, we'll start with you. You're going on solo. You have to put yourself on solo view.
Oh, well, then I'll definitely mess it up. I'll just talk from the middle. Well, I mean, I had a very slow last. Hey, imagine that. I had a really slow last year, so I could make this same picture that's in my background very easily. Today
that looks like your twin brother sat in the car behind you.
It's a lot like my twin brother, my very slightly fatter twin brother. But no, I've been, it's winter break and I've been home visiting my parents and stuff. But when we go back, hopefully I'll lay some more things out and see if I can get cracking on some front suspension ideas, then get my brackets. I talked to Martin Coggle a little bit a couple of months ago, just about some stuff with the way he attaches rear subframe. So he said the best thing to do is just get it in there, because once it's tacked, at least you can look at it. And then, so I'm going to just try to get a couple of measurements done and get a couple of things tacked and hack off this huge scuttle.
Yeah, that thing is immense.
Yeah, because I'm going slow, and I had some, funny things happen with my brain this semester. So
yeah, you had some stuff going on, and life has got some challenges that we deal with every time. But you know what? But Enzo Ferrari said, those things in the rear view mirror do not matter. So that's we're looking forward.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you're up next.
Right. I've not been in my garage for about a month and a half now, and I know I've still got a water leak on the rear of the engine. So I do need to look at that. Events-wise, we've got a lot of events coming up. We've obviously got Kit Fest coming up at Santa Pod, which is a live event. It's completely different to all the other kit car events.
Do you mind if I jump in there? I mean, you say it's a live event, but as I understand it, with everything that's going on, it's kind of like a circus, like a 3-ring circus, because you've got Santa Pod and you've got camping, you've got the food events, you've got you got Kit Fest. We've got the Fast Show that are going to be there as well. They're coming on the Sunday, and that's got the Terry Grant stunt show, car stunt show with bikes and stuff. There's a drift car area as well, and I think this year they'll be doing the same thing. So if you want to pay, I don't know, a couple of quid, whatever it is, you can actually get strapped into a drift car and have a quick taz around the track. So that'll be all going on. Then there's also a separate bike stunt area, so anybody can turn up with their bike and pull wheelies and do whatever you want to do. So there's a lot going on at the event, and there's camping. The food. I will mention the food prices as well.
I won't mention some of the events that I've gone to, but well, I will. If you go to like the NEC, the food prices are horrifically expensive, and I know we've mentioned about, you could be looking at £1,000 or whatever the time we go to a show over the weekend, but the food prices at Santapod, and it is decent quality food as well. Absolutely great. So yeah, it's a great weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. The weather, too early to look yet because that will make or break an event. But yeah, really looking forward to it, and you can take part.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for that, Paul. You're up next. What's happening for you, man?
First show's the end of January.
And tell us what show is that?
It's British Mini Owners Club. We do it every year. It's a selected. It's a small show, but it's indoor. It's mainly also jumbles.
Yeah,
and it's in Stafford.
Have you won any awards at that show? I mean, you win them at every other show you go to. You win an award, so I might as well ask.
They don't really give any awards out, to be fair.
Yeah.
So what's it? We got NEC in March.
That's the classic. Is that the classic or restoration?
Restoration. We got that. What else? Kit Fest.
Yeah.
So Mini Kits is going to Kit Fest.
Yeah.
That's good. That's this is kind of really cool. I'm really interested in having a chat maybe with we had Trevor Harmer on before, but having Trevor and John, maybe a few other people from the Northwest Kit Car Owners Group on to just discuss how it's come along, because I mean it was basically thrown together whimsically, I thought, as a sort of an opportunity to do some charity work, but it's beginning to actually turn into a real show.
Yeah, we approached. Well, it's a long story. I'll try and keep it short. We wanted to put an alternative car show on, not necessarily an alternative car show, but we realised that the kit car shows were dwindling. You used to have Newark and Stoneleigh, and then Newark got cancelled, so that didn't happen for a couple of years. So you're left with Stoneleigh. Stoneleigh then went to Malvern, so you still only had one kit car show, and then obviously Newark's with Grosvenor.
That's a specialty car show, you mean?
Yeah, like a specialty car show. And Peter Slater with Grosvenor set up Newark again, which is absolutely brilliant. We always support that. And we thought, what can we do as a kit car group to try and get just the name of kit cars out there and promote the industry? So that's why we decided to set up our own event. We approached, Trevor Harmer approached many motor racing circuits and many venues. They just weren't interested, or they'd say, "Well, we want 15 grand for you to put on an event." And we haven't got 15 grand. So the only people that really entertained the idea was Santapod, and that's why we host it at Santapod. It is in conjunction with a lot of their other shows, but we try and match them so it makes sense. This year again, as I say, we're with the Fast Show, and the Fast Show, which is all about modified cars and all this kind of stuff, kind of fits the whole kit car thing, because kit cars have got so many different engines in, with all modified stuff, so that really fits well with what we're trying to do. Santapod were really the only ones that are interested, and commercially wise, we've structured it in a great way. I'm not going to go into commercial details here, but Santapod have been absolutely brilliant in supporting us and also doing promotions for us. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Craig. Craig, what is happening for you this year? Do you have some plans for your magic bus, or your shaggin' wagon, or what other things you got planned?
Well, initially, I think Paul's covered a lot of the events that we're doing. Yes, we've returned back to the NEC in March. We've been headhunted once again. I can reveal to the public now that basically we've been given hole 5, and we're directly opposite the Sporting Bears. So
nice.
We're going to be everywhere, and I think we've got quite a prime pitch again, and we've got to go in and we've got to try and show that we are returning winners, because we did win this year. And then the other shows to follow. I've got a big announcement coming soon, which is basically I'm going to mix things up. So I'm going to try and attend other shows and try and drop some of the regulars.
Yeah.
Mainly because I've gone through 4 or 5 years in the trot and they're getting boring.
Well, seeing as we were chatting about this, I mean, it says on your little nameplate there that you're Make Some Noise, right? So tell us about Make Some Noise, if you don't mind.
Well, Make Some Noise is a re-spin-off of my own YouTube channel. I've had to rebrand. The whole point of Make Some Noise is that I can cover multiple different criteria now. So rather than just be motor cars, I can do live shows, events. I can assist like what yourself with 7 Sport. It's like when I did the the Autosport show at the NEC.
Yeah.
I was just an on-site reporter at the time. I've gone for a look around the phone call.
Yeah, you should promote yourself a little bit more because you're being very modest here because you were one of the experts at the NEC and you actually get to go up on stage, didn't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere really because if you can imagine when Minikit started they went to the NEC in 2018 for the first appearance, and this was before I was even part of Minikit, and I bumped into Paul while we were there. And as you can see, when you show your face and speak to him, he just drags you with you. And yeah, we just keep going back and just like we try and reinvent ourselves. It's the whole idea is our passion is not just the cars, but it's the people behind the cars.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we like to, as I say, we like to reinvent every single time. We look different. We have a different car every time. We give everyone an opportunity to experience it because a lot of shows always seems to be the same 3-4 cars, and it's the same show every time. We go in every single time, and to the point now that the NEC, if we don't apply, they're contacting us saying, "Get your form in because we're going to let you in anyways."
Yeah, we want you to attend. You had a 70s, was it a 70s theme you had with all the disco gear?
1980s. It was
1980s, sorry.
Yeah, it was the Classic Car Show. They were celebrating 40 years, the Classic Car Show at the NEC. So basically, it was 1984. So we went for an 80s theme. So all the cars were what we had in there was an 80s format. We had all the guys came, all fancy dress. We had I can't say his name. Well, I'll point that way towards Paul. But we had Adaman. We had David Bowie at one point. And then we had a couple of guys who turned up and it's like it was a laugh. That's the idea. You go there to have a laugh.
And it's not. It's going to sound really bad, but it's not taking yourself too seriously. We're there to have a good weekend, have a bit of a laugh. I mean, some of the groups. I'm not going to mention anything, but some of the groups take themselves a little bit too seriously and would not probably do something like that. But it's a fun event. Yeah.
But no, it's one thing is we like myself, Paul, Barry, we all have a rule of thumb is that we come as unknowns because we don't really know a couple of the guys on the stand until we get there. We spend a whole weekend and you walk away as good friends and you can almost call them family.
Yeah.
We have so much of a laugh and we spend so much time with each other and we look after each other.
Well, that's the beauty of our culture, isn't it? I mean, you get in, you just start talking cars, and then all of a sudden, all the barriers disappear. You just say
we always throw a special car in every year as well. I mean, this year's was an RTV. I don't know if you saw the video already.
Yeah, but you had that cranked up at an angle at the back, didn't you, as well?
Yeah. Well, the story to that was actually sponsored by British Gas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was driven from Land's End to John O'Groats off-road by a blind person.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that video. Tell us more about that. Yeah, driven by a blind man. Was it gas powered? Not propane.
No.
Mini-based.
Mini-based.
Mini-based. Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it, John. Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, come on! It's New Year's Day. Yeah.
Well, yeah. We had a famous YouTuber doing a video of it, and it impressed him that much with the story of it. Because everybody sees cars at the NEC, and you see a Ford Fiesta, it's a Ford Fiesta, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically. But he was so overwhelmed by the story of it that any proceeds that he made out the video he done of the NEC, he was given to the blind charity.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Good man.
That's
so the car is still giving 30 odd years, 40 years on.
Yeah,
which is brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant gesture. Brilliant gesture.
Chris, what are you up to this year? What's on your agenda?
Oh dear, sorry. First one is get the Tiger done. I'm about a month behind schedule now because of this flu, coronavirus, whatever it was. And I was hoping to get it driving before Christmas. Didn't manage it, so that's first on the agenda. I'd like to do, as we mentioned the other day, get it up to Kitfest. I'm also talking to Harewood Hill Climb Course. They do their academy days. I'm wondering whether they'll let me actually record the whole academy day with the Tiger up there and show how it does for its first one. So that's the first bit. Second on from there, I've got to get my Cobra finished this year, which I said the other day. So it's on record now. I've got to do it. And I've got the rest of the year.
We will hold you to that, yeah.
Yeah. I've got that Jaggly thing to try and get done. That hasn't got to be done this year, but it needs to be done by spring of the following year. And yeah, I think you saw the Citroen Light 15 that's in the back shop.
Yeah.
I've got to pull the engine out of that and machine the crank and put new big end and main bearings in it.
Yeah.
So
that's an amazing car. I love it. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be busy.
Yeah, you are going to be busy.
You've got a lot of kits on the go as well, haven't you? You've got some more kits coming through.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's always kits in the background.
The dumb question, Chris, but is the Jaggly your car or is it a project for someone else?
No, it's a friend of mine who I've known for many, many years. He actually was the original owner of that little B-type London bus. A friend of mine called Trevor.
Oh, there you go.
So I've known him for 20 odd to 25 years now, and he found the Jaggly on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Marketplace, and dragged me along. And he said, "Oh, yeah, we just got to buy it. You know, it's too nice a car to just sit there and go to somebody else." So yeah, that's going to be quite a big project, and I'm looking forward to doing that one. That should be good fun.
Well, speaking of projects, moving on to the last segment that we have on our agenda today, it's time for What's Dat? And this is the panicked slideshow that I was so late in getting together. I think two minutes before showtime, I finally got this together because Chris sent me a question or two. So put on your thinking caps, guys, and we're going to ask Americans first. What's that, Dave?
Ooh.
Looks expensive. I don't know. I kind of dig it. There's a lot of scoops.
Yeah.
And I wonder where that windshield came from.
Oh, that's a cut down windshield, surely. Has to be.
John, what is
short.
it? What is it?
Here's a clue. We've had one of these on our stand.
Now you're not allowed to answer until the end. That's why you're at the bottom of the screen, for crying out loud. John, what is it?
It looks familiar to me.
It's a familiar bee. Okay.
No, it looks familiar to me with that the bonnet scoop and the front grille, but I can't. I know I've seen it before. I can't place it, and I can't put a name on it.
Well, I'm not going to ask Chris what it is because he knows what it is, but I'm going to ask Craig. What is it?
I believe it is a Viota.
A Viota. Now I can bring us all together here. Now, tell us what a Viota is and give us some history on that.
I'll hand that over to Paul because he's in the Encyclopedia of Mini Kits, but I do remember that being on the stand because it was found in a farmyard in a chicken hen hut.
That's the wrong one. That's not that one, Craig, but it's the same type. That's actually a Mark 1.
Yeah, but I meant it's the model. I remember the Viota.
Oh, yeah.
You remember it came from
there.
Yeah.
Paul Miniburger, not only do you know what it is, but you actually know which mark it is just from looking at the picture. I haven't got a clue.
That's why those guys are show winners, you see.
Well, yeah,
they actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I do.
You can tell by the indicators on the front. There's your little hint. Oh. Yeah, I think they were made up Sheffield way in the UK, if I remember right.
Are there any Viota owners in mini kits?
Yeah. We got there's two of them actually, Craig.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 of them, yeah.
One of the reasons I wanted to try and pull it in as a topic of conversation is it's got the most unorthodox rear suspension you will ever come across on any car.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
It's
what
a
is
lump
it?
of 2-inch. It's a lump of 2-inch square box that runs from one wheel to the other wheel with a bolt in the middle that pivots. That's it. That's the rear suspension.
Can you say give that again? It's how does it work again?
So it's literally a piece of square box section that runs across the back of the car with a wheel bolted on either end or a hub bolted on either end. And in the middle of the box section, there's a pivot bolt. And that pivot bolt sits on 2 brackets. So the whole idea being, because it's mini-engined, it's dragging itself along anyway. All the back axle's got to do is keep the arse off the floor to stop it dragging and making sparks.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay any attention to it at all. And it's just the most agricultural, inadequate rear suspension I've ever come across. And it relied on the bit of box section bending for rear suspension. It's just
no shock absorbers or anything like that.
There's a shock absorber, but no springs on the back. He just relies on the flex in the box section.
The flex. Oh, wow.
And what time frame would a Viota have?
These were made in late 60s, early 70s, I believe.
70s, yeah.
I mean,
how long of a production run might they have had?
Oh, I don't think they made more than about 30. Paul will know more than this on the.
I think it was about 25 they made or something like that. There is still a few about, but like
very successful at hill climbing because again it was ultra light. The centre of balance is quite nicely in the middle of the car.
Short wheel,
about 500 kilos. So.
Short wheelbase as well, yeah. Very short wheelbase.
For a really long front end on it, it's like driving a Mini but sitting in the back. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Really long that was, as in front end.
Well, you mean somebody who's actually 6 feet or taller could fit in it? Then is what you're saying.
Well, yeah.
I could get in that one, which is unusual for most of them.
Yeah. You'd never get in a Tichy.
No.
It would.
It would.
Really?
6'5", wasn't it?
Right.
6 foot. How big was it, Craig?
He's 6'5" rugby player.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Built like a brick. And he climbed in and out.
Right.
Well, we had to remove the roof to get him out.
So
he got in with the roof on, but we had to literally get the tin opener and get him out.
We did, yeah.
And
so
now
would that be
our final.
One more thing on this. Would that be a cut down mini windshield, or is that a windshield that would have come with the kit and you pull the mini body off and put this on?
I believe it's an early MG midget windscreen.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Because
I was looking at the side rails being fatter, and I had that idea that it might be a MG, but I didn't know about the curve at the ends.
Yeah.
Well, this one's the final entry in the What's That for this segment. Dave, what's that?
Oh, I mean, that's probably what Paul uses to drive to the thing to get the mail. I saw it on the internet. It must be true.
It must be true.
I don't know. It looks awesome. Here, we would assume that had a VW bug engine in the back, but I'm sure it's way smaller than that because I see the back end of, what I would assume is like a Chevette, which is tiny next to it. So that's really little.
And are you ready, John? What's your first?
I quite like it. It's almost like a sandrail type car.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
With a bit of bodywork. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna guess it's front engined.
Was it running a boxer engine or what?
I might be completely wrong. I might be completely wrong on that one.
Well, there's a scoop to the back, so that's why I think it's got something in the trunk.
Yeah.
You think rear engine, yeah?
Yeah. Are you ready, Craig?
Well, I don't know what it is myself, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I do believe it's rear engined because having cars like the car I had before and was front ending, so you can tell by the front mountings and what it could carry.
Yeah.
But this suspension sort of gives it away because it'd be invading where the front engine would be, no matter which way you turn it. So
you're right.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you. The way Paul's smiling right now.
Yeah, Paul is smiling. He's probably what I like. Look at the suspension travel on that. It's truly got the dune
This is what I
market
mentioned.
covered.
There's a lot of positive camber on the front. It's like a Volkswagen Bugatti Type 33 conversion, but with the wrong body on it.
Well, I'm gonna throw this. Really, I'm gonna throw this over to Chris. But even though Paul is smiling broadly, what is that, Chris?
It's one of the early Mosquitoes that I made back in the early 90s. And it's a mini front suspension engine gearbox moved to the back, and another mini engine, another mini front subframe without the engine and gearbox in the front, joined together with some steel tubes to make it small as possible, as light as possible, but still get me inside it.
Wow. And tell me about the front suspension. I mean, you say it's from mini base, but how did you get the travel? I mean, obviously it's used for, kind of dune work or beach work. What's that all about?
Well, the early minis had a rubber cone for a suspension unit, which is very good if you only want small suspension movements, which is why minis handle like go-karts. It's a good system, but if you want something with more suspension travel, what you can do is remove the cone, use the suspension arms, and change it over to a coilover shock. Okay. Now, the majority of people who change them over use the top shock absorber bolt that went through the top suspension arm as the lower mount for the shock. But that puts the shock very upright, and it puts a bending load halfway along the arm. So what we did was made our own little conversion brackets, which bolt on where the top ball joint bolts on. So it moves the bottom of the shock as far outboard as it can go to give you more angle on the shock, and also to give you more movement overall. So they weighed 620 kilos all up, and with a 1330 mini engine in it, we were lapping Castle Combe and overtaking quite a few Cobra replicas, which was hilarious fun. I absolutely.
I was going to say, with that engine and that weight, that's going to really go. And you've got a lot of grip on the back end because the engine's in the back. Was the engine ahead of the gearbox, or? No,
it's on top. Standard mini setup where you've got the gearbox underneath the engine.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's effectively a roll cage on wheels with a mini engine in the back, in its basic form.
Rear suspension, is it on cones, or is that also?
No, that's on coilovers as well.
Yeah.
So you can actually change spring rates. Because of the size of me, I was running heavier springs than most other people in the back of it. We ran some of them without a windscreen, with just a wind deflector. There was a green one that had gull wing doors on it, so it was the fully enclosed cockpit. They were tremendous fun, but couldn't make any money out of them. So there was a total production run of about 12 or 13, I think, before we stopped. And I thought, it was a good laugh, but time to knock it on the head.
The green one's on the mini kits, Chris.
Is it really?
Excellent. I thought it is. And the guy who's got it now, it came back to me about 2 years ago.
That's right.
Because a bloke in Birmingham had it, who I'd known, Smudger Smith, for forever. And he got to the stage where he couldn't keep it anymore. He lost his storage and said, well, if you want it, come and get it, rather than it going for scrap. So I got it back, got it running again. And then this chap's bought it so that his daughter can learn to do auto testing in it, which I really enjoyed, because it's a whole new generation, tiny little car. It handles really well. So it would be an absolutely ideal thing for exactly what he wants it for.
That would be a nice one with the K conversion head on it, wouldn't it?
Oh, well.
That would be a rocket ship.
About 2 years after we stopped, 18 months after we stopped, Rover MG produced the MGF with the proper K series engine in the back. Built on the same idea, a subframe with the engine and gearbox and suspension all on it, so you could take the whole subframe out. So if we'd have been doing this 5 years on from when we stopped, we'd have used MGF as the running gear, and then you'd have had the 1.8 VVC K series in the back, and that would have made it a fearsome weapon. Because they're 170, 180 horsepower. So, but we were just a little bit too early for it. Which that's the way.
I bet you would sound really good with a Hayabusa engine.
It would.
Here we go.
There was a guy trying to put
Here we go.
Yeah.
We need Trevor Rolfe here to tell us that that's just wrong.
A lot of people.
It would be good if it worked on LPG.
All right.
But think of the fuel economy.
I'll do a propane conversion on it.
But a lot of the
Battery,
guys
it look like one of them Tamla bugs.
But a lot of the guys who do grass track racing in this country have often used motorbike engines on a mini diff. So they've done a chain drive diff conversion. They're quite common. So to actually put a bike engine in, it wouldn't be rocket science. So
a lot of them are using 2-bike engines as well. I see on the grass track.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that
300 horsepower on grass, in something the size of a mini, you've got reactions of a cat to get anything close to getting anything with it. So.
Yeah.
May I say that if you want the best fuel economy, you got to go to one of Paul's, because basically his are powered by the Jamaican bobsleigh team, because all you have to do
Oh, guys.
I've only ever seen, I believe it's 2 now, which is actually moved under its own steam.
Right.
I've only got 3.
He just don't like using them.
No, I don't. That's the problem.
You've got more than 3.
I have, yeah. I took the Safari 6 to Kitfest, and that actually burnt a coil out. So I couldn't even go down the strip in it.
Oh,
that's a shame.
I was well muffed.
We were getting it all ready in that, but I think the best one was it was an event not far away from where Paul lives, and he just purchased the Scorcher, and I got asked to come over to go see them because I hadn't seen them for ages. And the next thing I know, it's like all I hear is George just going, "Oh, I think Paul's on his way now," and I'm like thinking, "Well, I can't hear no." And I turn around and I literally see 3 people pushing this Scorcher and him riding it all the way through.
Making the noises. Bomb.
we literally have the story for cool runnings too.
Yeah.
Guys, I just wanted to say this one thing, because it's that first day of the year. I wanted to say thank you to you, but I also wanted to say thank you to everybody who's participated in taking the journey along with us at 7 Spot. You've helped us along the way in many, many shows, all of you. John, of course, and Dave, you've done shows, and I know that you've got your teaching career that you're doing too, but Paul and Craig and Chris, for sure. It's been a pleasure for me to work with you on this, and I'm looking forward to my own little journey along with everyone else on 7 Spot, to see where we can take this thing. So
I think it's all the stories as well that we
that's what I've always said.
2024. Yeah, it's not about us, it's about the stories.
It's the stories that our little cars help us tell. Because how many of us are so shy or what have you, but you take your car to a Cars and Coffee and somebody comes up and says that's a cool car, and then all of a sudden everything comes out because it's the car doing the talking and we're just standing there moving our mouth, and that's the way it should be. So
yes, definitely.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna end this thing because we're on again for an hour and 13 minutes, but it's been just great. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you as we move into the year, and I wish you health and happiness and everything else. It will fall into place after we get those ingredients in place. So all the best to you, each and every one of you.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. And I'd like to say
Happy New Year, everyone.
I'm just going to say, be seeing you.
Cheers now.
See you, mate.
See you at 7 Spot. Cheers, guys.